Covering these Silent Hill games has been quite the ride. It's been insightful to explore how Team Silent, a group of newcomers at Konami, managed to craft such a game-changing franchise. They had big dreams, and boy did they deliver in 1999 with the first Silent Hill game. That was just one deep dive into the world of psychological horror, tackling themes like cults, ghost towns, and the supernatural. What made it stand out was how it scared you, not with what it showed, but what it didn't show. Talk about leaving things to the imagination. Then about 2 years later, they raised the bar even higher with Silent Hill 2. This game explored some heavy stuff like psychogenic fusion and how the mind can be a bigger prison than any physical one. For its time, it was the franchise's magnum opus, solidifying Silent Hill's legacy long after its release. Moving on to Silent Hill 3, while fun, it had the most challenging development period. A year's worth of work got scrapped because fans weren't too keen on the idea of it being a rail shooter. Despite having to rush 9 months, it didn't disappoint, but you could see the cracks in Team Silent through the game. Now that we're all caught up, it was time for another Silent Hill property to hit the scene, and this one would mark the end of Team Silent as we know it. Welcome back to the Retro Fancies Retrospective. I hope you found the keys to your lock so we can explore Silent Hill 4: The Room. If you're just discovering this channel, you're in for a treat. We got a growing catalog of captivating retrospectives that peel back the layers of gaming's most fascinating and influential titles. From unsung gems to celebrated classics, our deep dives offer fresh perspectives that'll ignite your passion for the art form. If you enjoy an engaging retrospective that blends insightful analysis with reverence for its subject matter, mash the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You won't want to miss out on upcoming explorations to the brilliant minds and landmark experiences that have shaped this incredible medium. Let's dive into this. Okay, so believe it or not, Silent Hill 4 began development in 2001, right after Silent Hill 2. It's a shock, but believe it or not, the game was happening simultaneous while development of Silent Hill 3 was in development. So now we get the full story of why Silent Hill's development team was cut in half because they're working on 2 separate games at once. While Team Silent was already being stretched thin, wasting a year of the original concept of Silent Hill 3, they were also having development on another project. After the success of Silent Hill 2 and 3, creators felt the gameplay was becoming stale and wanted to make the series in a bold new direction with Silent Hill 4. Their top objective was to implement sweeping changes and give players something fresh. As producer Akira Yamaoka stated, "We wanted to express the idea that Silent Hill was moving in a new direction. It's at heart a Silent Hill game, but it's different from what came before." At the core of Silent Hill 4's concept was a desire to subvert players' expectations and challenge the conventional wisdom of horror game design. The development team led by producer Akira Yamaoka sought to remove players' sense of safety by transforming the traditionally secure safe room into a source of danger. This radical idea formed the foundation of the game's premise, where the protagonist's apartment becomes both a sanctuary and a prison. The game's environmental inspiration from a diverse array of literary sources, including Mark Z. Danielewski's House of Leaves, Ryu Murakami's Coin Locker Babies, and various works by Stephen King. These influences contributed to the game's unique atmosphere, blending psychological horror with surreal and catastrophic settings. One of the most significant innovations in Silent Hill 4 was the introduction of first-person perspective segments from the protagonist's apartment. This departure from the series' traditional third-person view was groundbreaking for its time, especially within the horror genre. It allowed for a more immersive and intimate experience, heightening the sense of isolation and vulnerability. The development of Silent Hill 4: The Room stands as a testament to the creativity and resilience of Team Silent, who faced significant challenges due to their reduced team size. This constraint, born from the simultaneous development of Silent Hill 3, forced the team to innovate, not just in-game design, but their approach into development itself. Working with a smaller team meant that each team member had to wear multiple hats, often taking on responsibilities outside of their primary roles. Programmers might have to assist with level design, while artists could find themselves contributing to story elements. This cross-pollination of roles, while challenging, led to a more integrated and cohesive development process, where team members gained a holistic understanding of the game's creation. The limited manpower also necessitated a more streamlined approach to game design. The team had to make tough decisions about which features to prioritize and which to cut. This constraint, while potentially limiting in some aspects, actually fostered a more focused and intentional design process. Every element that made it into the final game had to justify its existence, resulting in a leaner, more purposeful project. Resource limitations also pushed the team to think creatively about reusing assets and spaces. The apartment, which serves as a central hub, is revisited throughout the story, changing and evolving with each return. This not only served the narrative and the atmospheric goals of the game, but also allowed the team to maximize the impact of the limited resources. Despite the obstacles, the team's passion for the project shone through. They pushed boundaries in storytelling, game mechanics, and atmospheric design, all while working within significant constraints. The result was a game that, while divisive, undeniably showcased the team's creativity and dedication. The development of Silent Hill 4's The Room under these conditions is a prime example of how limitations can breed innovation. The team's ability to create a full-fledged, ambitious entry into a major franchise with limited resources is a testament to their skill, creativity, and determination. All their efforts of their labor was shown on June 17, 2004, when the world was given Silent Hill 4: The Room.
ある日、主人公の今回ヘンリーという男性がいるんですけど、その彼が、住んでいるアパートの部屋が朝起きたら突然玄関にはチェーンかかってる、扉は開かない、自分の部屋から一歩も出られなくなっちゃうんですよ。 What's going on here? 自分の部屋、みんな自分の部屋っていうのはまあ安心できる空間だと思うんですね。自分の部屋が嫌だっていう人はいないんで、その自分の安心できる空間がもし恐怖にどんどん包まれていって、その最初だったら出られなくなったとか、恐怖にどんどん侵食されていったらどうなっちゃうか、これほど怖いものはないなっていう。それと表世界裏世界みたいなサイレントヒルならではのが合わさったという、今回そういうお話になりますね。やっぱりホラーゲームってやっぱりリアリティだと思うんですね。よりリアルに描けるかっていう。やっぱ嘘っぽいとやっぱり人っていうのはやっぱりなんだこんな別のどっかの世界のもんだろうと。どっか関係ないふうに思っちゃうんですけど、よりリアルになるとやっぱりすごく親近感というか自分すごい身近に感じるってより恐怖も増すと思うんですね。でそのやっぱり現実感っていうのはやっぱりそのリアリティで、その異世界っていうのは今度逆にすごく異質な見たことも聞いたこともないような世界っていうのがひっくり広げられる。より臨場感を持たせられる部屋と、より自然で、このうごめきは何だろうじゃないけど、そういう表現みたいな、結構対比的なところなんですけど、そこはすごくこだわってますけどね。人間であれば誰でも多分そうだと思うんですけど、その未来って未来はみんな予測はできないと思うんですよ。自分はどうなるかっていう。その時の予測のつかない事態が起きた時の怖さっていうのは多分これは誰でも感じることだと思うんですよ。それはゲームで言えば突然モンスターが襲ってきたりとか、そういう自分が考えてもいなかった時に何かイベントとかアクシデントが起きた時の恐怖っていうの、それはやっぱり一番怖いことじゃないのかなと思いますね。ずっと1の時からやってくれた人もそうですし、これからサイレント4ザ・ルームということで、今回部屋をテーマにまた新しいサイレントヒルっていうのが描かれてると思うんです。なので4だからといって1、2、3やってないからなとかっていうんではなくて、4からでも十分遊べるゲーム性と、もちろんサイレントヒルをずっと好んでくださってるユーザーの皆さんにも十分楽しめる内容となっています。ぜひ、プレイして遊んでみてください。
Okay, here's a quick spoiler as I'm about to tell the story behind Silent Hill 4 The Room. If you're not a fan of spoilers, please advance to the gameplay overview section as seen on the timeline below. Let's dive into this. The game opens up with Henry Townsend, a contested resident of South Ashfield Heights apartment in South Ashfield, a city located half a day's drive from Silent Hill. His peaceful life takes a sinister turn when he inexplicably finds himself locked in his own apartment, room 302. Despite his efforts, Henry cannot escape through the windows or the front door, which is mysteriously chained shut from inside. As days pass, he experiences increasingly disturbing and nightmarish dreams. Henry notices his apartment gradually transforming with rust and blood, seeping through the walls and floors. In a terrifying moment, a ghostly figure emerges from the wall and crawls out towards him. It's at this point that Harry finally awakens from his nightmare, only to find himself still trapped in his apartment, blurring the lines between dream and reality.
What a dream.
Upon awakening, Henry attempts to use his phone in his room, only to find it non-functioning. Mysteriously, as he walks away, the phone begins to ring. When he answers, he hears a woman's voice desperately pleading for help, leaving him perplexed, especially since he notices the phone cord is severed. Looking out his window, Henry observes a figure entering a nearby subway. As he turns his attention to his apartment door, he hears movements from outside. Peering through the peephole, he sees his neighbor, Eileen, in the hallway. Behind her, Henry is shocked to discover a wall marked with 15 bloody handprints. The scene takes an ordinary turn as Eileen drops her shopping bag and moves to clean up the mess, seeming oblivious to the ominous handprints.
Oh man. Hope my luck changes before the party.
While exploring his apartment, Henry is startled by a loud crashing emanating from his bathroom. Upon investigation, he discovers a mysterious hole that had inexplicably appeared in the bathroom wall. Intrigued, Henry retrieves a steel pipe lying near the opening and cautiously ventures inside. To his astonishment, he finds himself transported to what appears to be the subway station he had seen earlier from his window. However, this version of the subway feels disturbingly different, as if it had been warped. Henry soon realizes he has entered an otherworld version of the subway, a nightmarish parallel dimension. In this surreal environment, he encounters Cynthia Velasquez, a disoriented woman who believes she is dreaming. Cynthia, seemingly unaware of the danger surrounding them, offers Henry a special favor if he assists her in finding an exit from this twisted realm.
Who are you? What's your name?
Henry. And you?
This is my dream and you don't even know my name. It's Cynthia.
Your dream.
That's right. This is just a dream. And a really terrible one too. I hope I wake up soon.
So you think this is a dream, huh?
Well, if it's not a dream, what is it? Anyway, I want to get out of here, but I can't find the exit. Say, will you help me find it? I'm kind of scared all alone. I'll do a special favor for you later. It's just a dream, so I might as well have some fun.
As Henry and Cynthia navigate the eerie subway, Cynthia suddenly feels ill and rushes to the women's restroom. After waiting patiently for her, Henry grows concerned when she fails to reappear. His unease escalates as he encounters the game's first monster, the Sniffer Doll. Determined to find Cynthia, Henry cautiously enters the women's restroom, only to find stalls empty, deepening the mystery of her disappearance. Continuing his exploration, Henry discovers another portal that returns him to room 302. Shortly after his return, he receives an unexpected phone call from the missing Cynthia. She desperately pleads for his help and informs him about a token in her possession, crucial for his progression through a nightmarish world.
Where did you go? Hurry! Save me! If you need a token, there's one here!
Harry re-enters the portal in his bathroom, finding himself once again in the otherworldly woman's restroom. Upon his return, he discovers a statue bearing an uncanny resemblance to Cynthia, clutching a subway token. After navigating the twisted subway, Henry finally reunites with Cynthia, freeing her from a locked train car. However, their reunion is short-lived as Henry locates an exit. Cynthia vanishes once more. Her disembodied voice echoes through the public address system, cryptically hinting at a significant discovery. Suddenly, Cynthia's voice turns to screams as she falls victim to an attack by an unknown assailant. Racing to her aid, Henry finds Cynthia fatally wounded, with the number 1612 grotesquely carved into her chest. In a poignant moment, Henry remains by her side, offering what comfort he can as she draws her final breaths. This tragic event marks the dark turning point in Harry's nightmarish journey.
Hey. Are you okay?
It's just a dream, right? I think I drank too much last night. I never got to do that special favor for you. I feel like I'm dying.
It's okay. It's just a dream.
Henry regains consciousness in his apartment, starting by the wail of ambulance sirens outside. Peering out the window, he's shocked to see the ambulance parked in front of the subway entrance. Henry grimly surmises that the emergency response is likely for Cynthia, connecting the real world to the nightmarish events he had just experienced. Drawn to his apartment door, he looks through the peephole once more, only to discover that another bloody handprint has mysteriously appeared on the wall outside, adding to the ominous tally. Determined to unravel the growing mystery, Henry returns to the portal in his bathroom. This time, however, instead of the twisted subway, he finds himself transported to an eerie forest world. This sudden shift in environment further blurs the line between reality and the otherworld, deepening the surreal nature of Henry's journey and hinting at the expanding scope of his supernatural predicament. As Henry navigates the eerie forest, he encounters Jasper, a man with a pronounced stutter who seems unusually cognizant of the supernatural occurrences. Jasper appears fixated on a particular rock, insisting it possesses mystical powers. Henry's exploration leads him to a foreboding graveyard, where he comes across a young boy. Intrigued and concerned, Henry approaches the child, questioning his presence in his unsettling place. The interaction is interrupted by Jasper's reappearance. In a state of apparent mental distress, Jasper begins prophesizing about the third revelation, his erratic behavior intensifying. Amidst this unsettling scene, the young boy, visibly frightened, runs from Harry.
Hey, little boy, what are you doing here?
You're finally the third revelation. Something's gonna happen. That nosy guy that was here, he said it too. Something big is gonna happen. Finally, it's gonna happen!
Henry's journey through the forest leads him to the Wish House, an orphanage notorious for indoctrinating children to the beliefs of the Order. There, he encounters Jasper again. Once again, Henry discovers Jasper's fondness for chocolate and cleverly trades the chocolate milk from the refrigerator for Jasper's spade. Using this tool, Henry unearths a key hidden beneath tree roots eerily shaped like arms. The key grants him access to the wish house interior. Upon entering, Henry is confronted with a horrifying sight. Jasper engulfed in flames, his chest grotesquely carved with the number 1712. In his final agonizing moments, Jasper manages to tell Henry that he finally met the devil. As Jasper slowly succumbs to the fire, Henry is left to witness this gruesome death.
I finally met him! The one the nosy guy talked about! The devil!
Henry regains consciousness in his apartment, greeted by a news report detailing a homicide involving a 30-year-old male who died by burning. The reporter mentioned a potential connection to Walter Sullivan, noting that the numbers called in the recent victims match Sullivan's modus operandi. Suddenly, Henry hears banging on his door. Peering through the peephole, he sees Frank Sutherland, the superintendent and father of James Sunderland from Silent Hill 2. Frank attempts to enter room 302, but he finds the door immovable, leaving him visually perplexed before he departs. Desperate to be heard, Henry pounds on the door, calling out to Frank, but his efforts prove futile. As Frank leaves, Henry notices yet another bloody handprint has appeared on the wall outside his room.
This is the superintendent. Are you in there, Henry?
Help me! There's something wrong with this room! Help! Let me out of here!
Is anybody home?
What's going on here?
That's strange. That's the right key. I'm sure I heard something in there. Yeah. That sound. It's the same one as back then.
Feeling increasingly trapped and desperate, Henry returns to the mysterious hole in the bathroom. To his astonishment, he discovers that the portal has expanded in size, hinting at the growing influence of the otherworld. Steeling himself, Henry enters the hole once more, this time finding himself transported to a nightmarish water prison. The oppressive atmosphere of this new environment is immediately palpable. As he begins to explore, Henry's attention is drawn to the distressed cries of Andrew DeSalvo, a prison guard. DeSalvo's pleas for help and release from his jail cell echo through the dark corridors, adding a new layer of urgency to Henry's surreal journey. As Henry explores the water prison, he uncovers its disturbing history. He learns that prisoners, many of them children abducted from the orphanage, were subjected to constant surveillance and ultimately left to starve as their cell blocks corroded. After manipulating a series of valves, Henry manages to free Andrew DeSalvo from his cell. In a startling turn of events, Andrew encounters the same mysterious boy Harry met in the forest world. Andrew appears to plead with the child, but the boy silently walks away. When Henry approaches a visibly shaken Andrew reveals a crucial piece of information. The boy's name is Walter Sullivan. Andrew then begins to divulge his own backstory in connection to these events, launching into an explanation about the cult.
Make me stand in there anymore. Make me stay in there. I can't make me inside. Take me inside. Make me stay in there. God, please. Come on, let me out of here. I'm trying to die in here. Make me stay in there, Walt. Walter, I'm telling you, tell. Walk away.
Who is that boy? And who are you?
His name's Walter. Walter Sullivan. I used to work at the orphanage watching the kids. I'm Andrew DeSalvo. They tried to make it seem like an orphanage, but according to that town's holy scriptures, it was actually the center of their religion. And that kid Walter, he was really into that mumbo jumbo. Especially that descent of the Holy Mother business. It was scary. Oh, God. Oh my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Following the unsettling encounter, Henry, Andrew, and the boy identified as Walter Sullivan go their separate ways. Henry continues his exploration, making his way to the prison's roof where he activates the water supply. He then returns to turn on another valve, illuminating the kitchen area. Using the code he's discovered, Henry gains access to this newly lit section. Upon entering, he's confronted with a horrifying sight. Andrew DeSalvo's lifeless body floating in the water, evidently a victim of drowning. This gruesome scene bears hallmark of Walter Sullivan's handiwork, with the numbers 18121 carved into Andrew's stomach. Henry regains consciousness in an apartment once more, this time roused by the sound of running water emanating from his bathroom. Upon investigation, he's confronted with a horrifying transformation. The eerie bathroom is now grotesquely stained with blood, emitting a nauseating stench that permeates the air. Despite the revolting scene, Henry steels himself to press on. His attention is drawn to the mysterious hole, which is expanded even further, suggesting an intensifying connection between his world and the nightmarish realms he's been exploring. Gathering his courage, Henry enters the portal once again. This time he finds himself transported to a otherworldly version of Ashfield, his own town. As Henry navigates a disoriented version of Ashfield, he encounters Richard Braintree, a fellow resident from his apartment complex. Richard appears to have inexplicably fallen from the sky, adding to the surreal nature of this twisted realm. Disoriented and bewildered, Richard reveals that he too has discovered a mysterious hole in his apartment, mirroring Henry's experience. This shared phenomenon suggests a wider reach of the supernatural events affecting South Ashfield Heights. Richard begins to divulge information about the previous occupant of Henry's apartment, hinting at a possible connection to their current predicament. As they prepare to part ways, Henry, drawing from his recent experiences, issues a warning to Richard about the boy named Walter.
Ouch! Damn it. Where the hell am I? You're a real person. Hey, you're the guy that lives across from me.
Yeah, my name's Henry.
I'm Richard Braintree, from 207. What the hell's happened to us? That hole in this freaky world. But if you're here too, then there must be something wrong with the whole apartment building. That must explain what happened to that other guy too.
What other guy?
The guy who lived in 302 before you. A journalist. He disappeared one day. He got pretty crazy towards the end. Shut himself up in his room and wouldn't come out. Anyway, I'm getting the hell out of here. You should too, if you know what's good for you.
Wait. Watch out for that kid.
Henry continues his journey, alternating between his room and the other world. During one of his returns to room 302, he observes through a peephole a conversation between Frank, the superintendent, and his neighbor Eileen. They discuss the persistent issues with accessing Henry's apartment, hinting at the supernatural nature of his confinement. Frank attempts to communicate by sliding a note under the door, mentioning a umbilical cord he keeps in a box within his room, a cryptic detail that adds to the growing mystery. After their departure, Henry returns to the other world. While descending an elevator, he witnesses a tense interaction between the boy Walter and Richard Braintree. Richard appears to be intimidating Walter, causing the child to flee.
Are you the kid he was talking about? You live in that apartment too, huh? Say, you look a lot like a little punk that I once caught sneaking around there. Do you know something about what's going on? Hey, you! Stop!
Henry's surreal journey continues as he returns to his apartment, only to be greeted by mysterious knocking at his door. Upon investigation, he finds no one there but discovers a chilling message written in blood among the handprints. Better check on your neighbors soon. This ominous warning adds urgency to Henry's predicament. Returning to the other world, Henry's exploration leads into a horrifying scene. Richard Braintree undergoing electrocution. The number 19121 carved into Richard's forehead, marking him the 19th victim of this series of ritualistic murders. As Richard endures his torment, Henry notices Walter observing the scene from the window, pointing silently. In his final moments, Richard struggles to convey a warning to Henry, but succumbs to the torture before he can fully articulate his message. Upon awakening in his apartment, Henry overhears a radio broadcast discussing another murder. The reporting officer draws parallels to a case from a decade ago involving Walter Sullivan. However, the police speculate this might be a copycat killer, as Walter reportedly died years ago, adding a layer of intrigue to the unfolding mystery. Henry's attention is then drawn to the hole in his wall, through which he observes his neighbor, Eileen, preparing to go out. Returning to the overexpanding hole in his bathroom, Henry enters once more, this time finding himself in a nightmarish version of South Ashfield Heights. This otherworld incarnation of his apartment building is a grotesque sight covered in rust and chains, with walls that seem to pulse and bleed. As Henry explores this twisted realm, he spots a man with long blonde hair wearing a blue trench coat knocking at Eileen's apartment door.
It looks like my apartment. But what the hell is this?
As Henry explores the disoriented apartment building, he hears a young boy's voice calling for his mother near his own room number. Progressing through the twisted corridors, he encounters the mysterious blonde man again, now seated on the stairs, offering Henry a small doll. Throughout his journey, Henry discovers notes that can be slid under his apartment door and read from the other side, providing crucial information. Upon returning to his room, Henry retrieves these notes, uncovering details about Walter Sullivan's 12th victim from 4 years ago, a puzzling fact that Walter was believed to have died 7 years prior. He also learns that the numbers carved into the victims are actually fractions, indicating how many victims will remain out of a total of 21. Additional information reveals that the grisly mass murder that claimed 12 lives, with Walter himself supposedly being the 11th victim. Armed with new knowledge and a key to Eileen's apartment, Henry finally gains access to her room. There, he's confronted with a horrifying scene. The child version of Walter standing over Eileen, who lies bleeding on the floor, with 20 out of 21 carved into her back.
Nothing.
Hey, kid. Thanks. Did you find your mommy? This place? It's dangerous. You need to hurry. Get out of here.
Upon awakening, Henry rushes to his window to witness an ambulance departing with Eileen inside. Turning his attention to his apartment door, he discovers a succubus talisman on the floor, adding another mysterious element to his predicament. Peering through the hole at Eileen's now vacant room, Henry is starting to see a stuffed bunny seemingly reaching out to him, further blurring the lines between reality and the supernatural. Overhearing a conversation between police officers, Henry learns that Eileen's condition is critical, with little hope for her survival. The officers discuss the numbers found on her back, connecting this incident to previous rounds of murders. They reveal that it is the third wave of killings with an earlier set occurring a few years prior. The investigation had previously stalled when Walter Sullivan apparently deleted himself, a crooked detail that deepens the mystery surrounding the killed's identity and methods. This new information not only heightens Henry's concern for Eileen, but also suggests a complex, long-running pattern to these supernatural crimes.
So they took the victim to St. Jerome's, huh?
Yeah, she's not gonna make it. She had numbers in her back, too. Walter Sullivan copycat. Round 3, huh?
Well, they never got the scumbag behind round 2 a few years back. Maybe it's the same guy.
What if 1, 2, and 3? What if they're all the same guy?
What the hell are you talking about? You know Sullivan killed himself. The weird thing is, there were no clues. Crime scenes were always spotless. No fingerprints, no fibers, nothing. Just the numbers, 20121. I've been a cop for a long time, but I never seen a case like this one. It's almost like they were killed by a ghost or something.
Upon returning to his bathroom, Henry is shocked to discover that the large portal he had been using to transverse between both worlds is now blocked off. Undented, he makes his way to the laundry, where he uses the succubus talisman to create a new passage to the other world. As Henry emerges on the other side, he is confronted with a disturbing scene. The mysterious blonde man he had previously encountered in the apartment stairs is now engaged in what appears to be a gruesome surgical procedure on a woman. The man, sensing Henry's presence, abruptly turns his attention and attacks him. Henry, reacting quickly, manages to escape just in time. This alarming encounter not only reinforces the danger Henry faces in the other world, but also suggests a more active and menacing role for the blonde man, who seems to be directly involved in violent events unfolding around Henry. Henry persists in his search for Eileen, driven by a sense of urgency to save her. His exploration leads him to an operating room, where he discovers x-rays that appear to be Eileen's, heightening his concern. Continuing his search, he finally locates Eileen resting in a hospital room. Upon seeing Henry, Eileen initially panics, but he manages to calm her down. As recognition dawns, Eileen remembers Henry as her neighbor. Henry then carefully recounts the bizarre events that have transpired. Gradually earning Eileen's trust in turn, Eileen reveals that the man in the blue coat was her attacker, providing a crucial piece of information. This mutual exchange of information solidifies their alliance, and Eileen, now understanding the gravity of the situation, decides to accompany Henry. This development marks a significant shift in Henry's journey, as he now has an ally.
Eileen, relax!
Henry? From next door? What are you doing here?
I don't know where to start. There was this strange hole in my room. I saw people getting killed. All these weird other worlds. And I saw you get attacked too.
What are you talking about? I'm supposed to believe that?
But it's true. And there was a kid with you.
I remember now. I was getting ready to go to my friend's party. The boy protected me from the man with the coat. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I guess there's something wrong with me. I just feel so scared. This place. Where is it anyway?
I don't know either. But I do know that if you get killed here, then you die in the real world too. Anyway, the only way out of here is through that hole.
Okay. Okay, take me with you.
Upon returning through the portal, Henry finds himself alone in his room, realizing that Eileen cannot transverse between worlds as he can. This limitation adds a new layer of complexity to their predicament. Henry discovers a letter from a man named Joseph, introducing a new element to the mystery. Returning to the Otherworld hospital, he's greeted by a relieved Eileen, who explains that from her perspective he had vanished into thin air. Fearful of being left alone and potentially cursed, Eileen pleads with Henry not to leave her again. This prompts Henry to formulate a new plan to safety: extract Eileen from the Otherworld. During their conversation, Henry inquires about Joseph. Eileen reveals that Joseph was indeed the previous occupant of room 302, who mysteriously disappeared 6 months before Henry moved in. This information potentially links Joseph to the supernatural events that they're experiencing.
Henry.
Have you been here the whole time?
Yeah? And I didn't see any hole either. You just disappeared all of a sudden. I can't stay here by myself. I'll be cursed. You know it. What am I gonna do?
I might know a way to save you. Do you know about someone named Joseph?
He was the guy who lived in your apartment before you. I think he was a journalist or something. He disappeared about 6 months before you moved in. But toward the end, he started acting really weird.
Yeah, he was doing an investigation about a religious cult and a man named Walter Sullivan. I got this letter from him. He told me to go down into the deepest part of him, and to look for the ultimate truth. Let's do that. There must be something down there.
Okay. I'll do it. You're the only chance I've got. I'll stick with you.
Back in room 302, Henry discovers pages from Joseph's diary, revealing that the previous occupant had experienced similar supernatural phenomena. Joseph's writings mention Walter Sullivan's apparent self-deletion years ago, mirroring recent events. The diary also detailed Joseph's descent into what he believed was madness, describing hallucinations and his premonition of the 14th victim before the body was discovered. Importantly, Joseph notes a key difference between the first and second rounds of killings. While the initial victims had their hearts removed, The second group did not, leading police to suspect a copycat killer. Henry then finds a toy key that has mysteriously slid under his door, adding another piece to the puzzle. Reuniting with Eileen in the other world, they navigate a twisted version of the subway. Here, Henry encounters a new spectral entity, the ghost of Cynthia, whom he met during his first otherworld subway experience. This ghostly apparition of a previous victim reinforces the reality of the supernatural threat they face. Upon returning to room 302, Henry discovers another note at his door, revealing intriguing details about a long-haired man in a coat who was seen around the apartment complex after Walter Sullivan's supposed self-deletion. Both Richard Braintree and Frank Sunderland reportedly encountered this mysterious figure lurking near room 302, adding another layer to the complex narrative. Venturing back to the Otherworld subway station with Eileen, Henry revisits the ticket booth where he first met Cynthia. There, he retrieves her commuter ticket and a train handle, crucial items for their progression. Using these newfound tools, they manage to move the train just enough to access a previously blocked door. However, as they pass through, they're confronted by a shocking sight. The man in the coat, now revealed to be armed and hostile, opens fire on them. This sudden violent encounter not only escalates the immediate danger Henry and Eileen face, but also potentially connects the long-haired man from the notes to their current predicament, suggesting a direct link between the past events surrounding Walter Sullivan and their present nightmare. Henry and Eileen's journey takes them back to the forest, where they discover the witch house has been burned down. Near the ruins, they find a doll missing its limbs, presenting a new puzzle. Returning to room 302, Henry uncovers a note from Joseph, suggesting a startling theory. The man in the coat might actually be Walter Sullivan, who may have not truly deleted himself, imprisoned as previously believed. Back in the Otherworld forest, Henry continues to search for the doll's missing limbs. During this exploration, he encounters the fiery ghost of Jasper Guinan, now holding a chalice, and wisely chooses to avoid this dangerous apparition. As they progress, Henry becomes accurately aware that Walter Sullivan is actively pursuing them through this nightmarish realm. In a pivotal moment, Henry has another brief encounter with the child version of Walter. When questioned about his identity, the young Walter confesses to not knowing who he truly is, adding another layer of complexity to the mystery. The boy then shares his backstory with Henry, providing crucial insights to the origins of this supernatural ordeal. After this revealing conversation, the child Walter runs off, leaving Henry with new information to process and more questions.
Are you Walter Sullivan?
That's what everybody calls me, but I don't really have a name or a home either.
Well, what about a mom or dad?
Yeah, but I never met him. They left South Ashfield Heights right after I was born. But soon I'll get to see my mom.
Do you know where she is now?
Yeah, of course. Right where I was born. Lots of people tried to stop me, but it's fine now. It says in the scriptures that I'll be with her. I gotta hurry. Mom's waiting.
Henry successfully locates all the doll's missing limbs and reassembles it. Unexpectedly, the doll animates, rolling off a platform, revealing a new path of the forest world. Following this surreal guide, Henry and Eileen discover an altar with a Bible detailing the 21 sacraments, providing crucial information about the ritual they've been witnessing. Their journey then leads them back to the water prison, now under a menacing pursuit of Walter Sullivan. Upon returning to room 302, Henry finds another revelating note. This one delves into Walter's history, explaining that he was born in room 302 and abandoned by his parents. He was subsequently adopted by the Wish House orphanage run by Silent Hill's cult. The note describes how at around age 6, Walter was shown his birthplace by a cult member, leading to his obsessive belief that room 302 was his mother. This revelation explains Walter's frequent returns to the apartment. Back in the Otherworld water prison, Henry and Eileen's investigation interrupted by the appearance of another ghost. This time it's Andrew, the former security guard. This encounter not only adds to the growing roster of spectacle entities, but it also potentially offers new insights into the water park's dark history and its connection to Walter's twisted journey. Escaping the water prison, Henry and Eileen find themselves in a disoriented version of Ashfield. In this twisted landscape, Henry encounters the ghost of Richard Braintree, now imbued with the supernatural ability to teleport. During the exploration, Henry discovers a cryptic memo discussing 4 memories that need to be located and returned to their original places, presenting a new objective in their surreal journey. As they navigate this warped, familiar environment, Henry witnesses a bizarre and unsettling scene. The adult Walter Sullivan and his younger self appear to be engaged in a strange interaction. This situation takes a dramatic turn when the adult Walter suddenly abducts his younger counterpart. This startling event not only adds to the surreal and disturbing nature of their experience, but it also raises profound questions about the nature of Walter Sullivan's existence and complex interplay between his past and present selves.
I'm going to see my mom. Stay out of my way. Who are you, anyway?
My name's Walter. Walter Sullivan. It's time to complete the 21 sacraments.
But that's my name. And what are the 21 sacraments?
Don't worry. You'll know soon enough. Well, let's go and see Mother.
Let me go, that hurts!
Damn!
After successfully returning the 4 memories, Henry and Eileen are guided by the chiming of a clock to a confrontation with the One Truth, a formidable enemy they must overcome. Their victory unlocks a door, allowing them to progress. Upon returning to room 302, Henry discovers a crucial note detailing the identities of all the victims, including the final 6 sacrifices: Cynthia, Jasper, Andrew, Richard, Eileen, and Henry himself as the last intended victim. Armed with this knowledge, Henry and Eileen venture into the otherworld version of their apartment building. As they enter the twisted incarnation of room 302, they encounter a spectral form of Joseph, eerily protruding from the ceiling. Joseph imparts all the information he uncovered while alive, providing vital context with the ordeal. He concludes his revelation with a dire instruction: Henry must delete Walter Sullivan to thwart his nefarious plans. This ghostly encounter not only provides Henry and Eileen with crucial information, but also sets the stage for their final confrontation with Walter.
It's him.
You've done well to make it this far. Let me tell you something about him, Walter Sullivan. When he was a little boy, he began to believe that my apartment was actually his birth mother. He decided to free her from the stains and corruption of this world. At the orphanage, he learned of the 21 sacraments, the only way to purify her. He then performed the ceremony of the Holy Assumption and created this twisted world. Now, he's become nothing more than an inhuman killing machine. Well, he's dead now, but he's still trying to complete the 21 sacraments. His boyhood desire to return to the bosom of his birth has divided him. Now his child self has manifested itself in this world, and soon he's planning to finish his work, the 21 sacraments. Number 20, the Mother Reborn, Eileen Galvin. Number 21, the Receiver of Wisdom, Henry Townsend. Even now, it may not be too late. Follow the Crimson Tome. Stop him. If not, wherever you run, he will catch you. Find him. His true location. It must be nearby. You must kill him. You must kill him. Kill. 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 Hurry. She's taken over. She's number 20. The mother was born. The Crimson Tome. Obey the Crimson Tome. Kill him. Must kill him. Kill. Kill. Kill.
Returning to his version of room 302, Henry begins to excavate a hole in the wall between his bathroom and bedroom. This leads him to a hidden room, permeated by a foul odor. As he explores the concealed space, Henry makes a shocking discovery: the crucified corpse of Walter Sullivan. Adjacent to the body, Henry finds a refrigerator door containing the keys of liberation. Using these keys, he is finally able to unlock the chains that have kept him trapped in his apartment. However, upon opening his door, Henry realizes that he hasn't escaped the real world, but rather to another layer of the other world. Outside his room, he sees Eileen approaching, confirming that they are still entwined in his nightmarish realm. This series of revelations, the discovery of Walter's body, the keys to liberation, and the realization of freedom from Room 302 doesn't equate to escape from the other world, dramatically shifts to the dynamics of Henry's situation. The presence of Walter's corpse raises questions about the nature of Walter and what they encountered.
No way. Not here, too. Eileen?
As Henry and Eileen explore the apartment building, they encounter a mysterious mark on the hallway floor that immobilizes Eileen. Henry attempts to access the superintendent's room but finds it secured by 6 locks. Throughout the building, he discovers various manifestations hanged by Walter, each providing a key to unlock the superintendent's door. Before entering, Henry returns to Eileen, who is now experiencing intense headaches, signaling an impending possession. As Walter's consciousness begins to merge with hers, Eileen developed a sympathetic understanding of what that room 302 had meant, and Eileen developed a sympathetic understanding of his belief that room 302 is his mother, compelling her to help him. Inside the superintendent's room, they uncover a box containing the umbilical cord Frank had mentioned earlier. Upon seeing the cord, Henry starts experiencing similar headaches to Eileen's. In a moment of role reversal, Eileen confronts Henry, but her compassion is short-lived as Walter's influence overtakes her. Possessed, Eileen begins walking backwards towards the room where Walter's body was found. This dramatic turn of events heightens the urgency of Henry's situation, as he must now contend with not only the supernatural forces at play, but also with possession of his ally.
Finishing the 21 sacraments? It won't help that boy. I'm going back, Henry. To the room where he is. We're the only ones. The only ones that can stop him.
Upon returning to the room where Walter's crucified body was discovered, Henry finds a corpse missing. In this place at the base is where Walter had been suspended. It's a dark portal. Steeling himself, Henry plunges into this void, emerging into a final confrontation with Walter Sullivan. As they face each other, the possessed Eileen stands nearby, caught in Walter's supernatural grip. The air is filled with the haunting voice of young Walter, desperately calling out for his mother. Adult Walter, with a twisted sense of triumph, reveals to Henry that the completion of the 21 sacraments, with Henry as the final sacrifice, will bring about the return of his mother. This climactic scene brings together all the elements of this nightmarish journey: the duality of Walter's existence, the possession of Eileen, and Henry's pivotal role as the final sacrament.
Hey there, little Walter. Just a little longer now.
Henry, you're it. The last of the 21 sacraments. The final sign. The receiver of wisdom.
Now, much like all the Silent Hill games before this one, there are also multiple endings. As a matter of fact, this game contains a total of 4 endings, although I must say, there is no UFO ending in this game, sadly. As the last game developed by Team Silent, the canonical ending remains ambiguous. The escape ending, considered the best outcome, unfold as follows. During the final confrontation, Henry battles Walter while Eileen, still possessed, walks towards her doom. Henry ultimately prevails, and as Walter falls, he reaches out one last time, calling Mom before going still. The room begins to shake violently. Eileen, now free from possession but weakened, collapses. Henry calls out to her, extending his hand. In Walter's apartment world, young Walter knocks on room 302's door, pleading with his mother to let him in. He then falls to his knees and fades away, symbolizing the end of Walter's twisted quest. As the child disappears, the door to Henry's apartment swings open. The scene shifts to Henry walking away from South Ashfield Heights. He pauses, looking back at the building before continuing on, softly saying Eileen's name. The epilogue set one day later shows Henry visiting Eileen in a normal hospital. Their relationship has clearly deepened through their shared ordeal. Henry, smiling, presents Eileen with a bouquet of flowers. Eileen, recovering but in good spirit, quips, "Guess I have to find a new place to live, huh?" This ending provides a sense of closure and hope, with Henry and Eileen surviving their nightmarish experience and potentially forging an even stronger bond in its aftermath.
Guess I'll have to find a new place to live, huh?
The Mother ending follows a similar trajectory to the Escape ending, with a crucial divergence in its conclusion. The initial scenes play out identically. Henry defeats Walter, the room shakes, and Eileen is free from possession. Young Walter fades away after failing to enter room 302 in the other world. However, the epilogue takes a darker turn when Henry visits Eileen in the hospital. Instead of suggesting that she needs to find a new place to live, she ominously states, "Well, I guess I can go back to South Asheville Heights now." This seemingly unconscious moment carries sinister implications. The final shot reveals Henry's apartment, room 302, in a state reminiscent of his appearance at the game's beginning, covered in blood and rust. This disturbing image suggests a supernatural presence continues to linger in the apartment, and the horrors they experience haven't truly ended. More troublingly, Eileen's willingness to return to South Asheville Heights, coupled with the apartment's haunted state, implies that she may still be under some form of possession or influence from Walter's lingering spirit. This ending leaves the audience with a sense of unease, suggesting that while the more immediate threat has passed, the cycle of horror may be poised to begin anew. The Mother ending thus offers a more ambiguous and potentially cynical conclusion to the narrative, in keeping with Silent Hill's tradition of unsettling, open-ended resolutions.
Thanks. Well, I guess I can go back to South Ashfield Heights now.
Moving on to Eileen's death ending, which follows a similar initial path as the others, but takes a tragic turn. After Henry's victory over Walter, the adult Sullivan falls to the door, reaching out one last time, calling Mom before going still. As the room begins to shake violently, the scene shifts to Walter's apartment world, where young Walter desperately knocks on room 302's door, pleading with his mother to let him in. The child then collapses and fades away, symbolizing the end of Walter's twisted quest. As the young Walter disappears, the door to Henry's apartment swings open. The scene transitions to Henry awakening in his bed, seemingly back in the real world. However, this release is short-lived. A radio broadcast delivers the devastating news that Eileen has succumbed to her injuries. Overwhelmed by grief and the realization that he couldn't save her despite their shared ordeal, Henry falls to his knees, uttering Eileen's name in anguish. This ending emphasizes the brutal nature of the supernatural forces at play and the high stakes of Henry's struggle. Despite overcoming Walter, Henry's failure to protect Eileen results in a hollow victory. The conclusion leaves the player with a sense of futility and loss, underscoring the often tragic outcomes in the Silent Hill universe, where even apparent triumphs can be marred by profound personal losses.
And now the news. Yesterday in Ashfield and the woods near Silent Hill, the bodies of 5 men and women were discovered. The police reported that all the murders appeared to be the work of the same perpetrator. They are continuing their investigation. 4 of the victims were found dead at the scene, and the 5th victim a Miss Eileen Galvin was transported to St. Jerome's Hospital, where she died a short time later. Police say that Miss Galvin's injuries matched exactly those of the other victims.
Eileen.
Finally, the 21 Sacraments ending, which is undoubtedly the darkest conclusion to the game. As in the other ending, Walter falls after the final confrontation, reaching out and calling to Mom before going still. However, the similarity ends there. Henry, seemingly victorious, suddenly collapses to his knees, clutching his head in agony. When he rises, it's clear he's no longer himself. Walter's spirit has possessed him, completing the 21 Sacraments ritual. This scene shifts to room 302, now reverted to his nightmarish state of blood and rust from the game's beginning. Young Walter appears cuddling up on the couch in a disturbing display of childlike affection. He says, "I'm home. I won't let anyone get in the way. I'm going to stay with you forever." This chilling statement underscores the success of Walter's twisted plan to reunite with his mother, the room itself. The final haunting image of Walter's motionless body is propped against the wall, while a radio broadcast announces the death of Eileen, Henry, and others. This ending suggests that Walter's grand plan has come to fruition, with the 21 Sacraments completed and his warped version of home achieved. This conclusion offers the bleakest possible outcome, where evil triumphs completely. It leaves players with a sense of hopelessness and failure, emphasizing the sometimes insurmountable nature of the horrors in the Silent Hill universe. The 21 Sacraments ending serves as a stark reminder of the high stakes and potentially catastrophic consequences of Henry's struggle against Walter's malevolent plan.
My hand!
Mom, I'm home. I won't let anyone get in my way. Gonna stay with you forever.
And now the news. Yesterday, in Ashfield and the woods near Silent Hill, the bodies of 5 apparent murder victims and a 6th severely wounded female were discovered. The woman was immediately rushed to St. Jerome's Hospital, but died a short time later of her injuries. She has been identified as a Miss Eileen Galvin of Ashfield. The last body discovered was found in room 302 of the South Ashfield Heights apartments. It is believed to be that of its occupant, Henry Townsend. The body was reportedly disfigured beyond recognition, making identification impossible. Once again, we've got late-breaking news. 5 unnamed police officers have been found dead for reasons unknown in the South Ashfield Heights apartments, along with its superintendent, Mr. Frank Sunderland. All other residents of South Ashfield Heights have been rushed to St. Jerome's Hospital, many complaining of severe chest pain. These strange incidents are similar to the ones which occurred in Silent Hill some years ago. More news to follow.
Silent Hill 4: The Room is a complex psychological horror game that explores themes of isolation, trauma, and the search for maternal love and identity. At its core, the game is an exploration of the human psyche and the devastating effects of childhood abandonment and abuse. The game masterfully employs the concept of physical confinement as a power metaphor for psychological isolation, creating a deeply unsettling exploration of the human psyche. Henry's entrapment within the apartment serves as a stark representation of the mental barriers we often construct in response to trauma, fear, or overwhelmingly anxiety. This clever narrative device allows players to viscerally experience claustrophobic nature of psychological distress. As the game progresses, the apartment undergoes a chilling transformation from a perceived sanctuary to a nightmarish prison, mirroring the insidious way our mind can trap us with our own cycles of fear and negative throughout patterns. The evolution of the safe space into a source of terror not only drives the game's horror elements, but also provides a poignant commentary on the nature of mental health struggles. By blurring the line between physical and psychological confinement, Silent Hill 4 offers a profound meditation on the human condition, forcing players to confront the uncomfortable truth that sometimes our greatest fears and limitations are self-imposed, born from the very mechanisms we create to protect ourselves. Moving on, this game is deeply saturated with birth imagery, weaving a complex tapestry of symbolism that explores themes of rebirth, trauma, and psychological transformation. The game's most striking visual metaphor in the series is the holes in which Harry travels between worlds. These portals, with their organic, fleshy textures and tunnel-like structures, strongly evoke the imagery of birth canals. Henry's manner of emergence from these passages, often in a vulnerable fetal position, further reinforces the birth symbolism. This recurring motif serves as a powerful representation of psychological rebirth, suggesting that each journey throughout these birth canals is a transformative experience for Harry, forcing him to confront and potentially overcome his inner demons. The birth imagery reaches its zenith in Walter Sullivan's MacBray quest for rebirth through the 21 Sacraments ritual, a twisted preservation of the natural birth process. This dark ritual, with its focus on sacrifice and resurrection, serves as a grotesque mirror to the concept of psychological rebirth, highlighting the desperate lengths to which traumatized psyche might go in its attempts to heal or reinvent itself. Through these entwined symbols and narratives, Silent Hill 4 presents a haunting exploration of the human struggle to overcome past traumas and achieve a form of psychological rebirth, suggesting that the journey to mental healing can be as painful and perilous as physical birth itself. The game even hints at it when Frank Sutherland, Henry's superintendent, talks about having an umbilical cord in his own apartment. Walter Sullivan's obsession with Room 302 as his mother serves as a disturbing metaphor for the profound psychological damage caused by maternal abandonment and the desperate longing for nurturing love. This fixation is vividly illustrated through the game, most notably in the revelation that Walter was born and immediately abandoned in Room 302. His subsequent actions, including the brutal 21 Sacraments ritual, can be interpreted as a twisted attempt to return to the womb and reclaim the maternal love he never experienced. This can be broken down into 5 different elements into the game. First, the umbilical cord. A key item in the game symbolizes Walter's unbroken psychological connection to his birthplace. Its preservation in the superintendent's room underscores the lasting impact of his abandonment. Secondly, Walter's victims often have their hearts removed, which can be seen as a pervasive attempt to fill the void left by his mother's absence. Third, the child version of Walter that Henry encounters throughout the game represents the vulnerable, abandoned child still seeking his mother's love. Fourth, the final confrontation takes place in a nightmarish version of Room 302, where Walter has created a grotesque, famine-scale room-like environment, complete with pulsating walls and organic textures. And finally, Walter's dialogue often includes childlike pleas for his mother, even as he commits horrific acts, highlighting the disconnect between his actions and his deep-seated emotional needs. Through these elements, the game paints a chilling portrait of how early trauma can warp a person's psyche, turning the fundamental human need for maternal love into a destructive and all-consuming obsession. Walter's quest to rebirth his mother through the 21 Sacraments ritual becomes a tragic and terrifying representation of his regressing desire to escape the pain of abandonment by returning to a pre-birth state of perceived safety and nurturing. You know, it's pretty wild how Silent Hill 4 dives deep into the whole belief and ritual thing. I mean, just look at Walter Sullivan's story. This guy was so messed up by the cult's teaching, he actually believed he could bring his mother, which is really just Room 302, back to life with the 21 Sacraments ritual. It's like the game is showing us how beliefs can literally shape someone's reality, you know? Walter's not just some kind of run-of-the-mill killer. He's a guy who's completely brought to this twisted worldview, and the scary part, it seems to have some real power in the game's world. Remember those ghosts you encounter, or how about the way the environment shift change? It's almost like Walter's beliefs are warping the very fabric of reality around him. It's pretty freaky when you think about it. And it's not just Walter, right? The whole order cult in Silent Hill, this thing going on where their rituals and beliefs seem to have actual tangible effects. It's like the game is asking us, hey, what if these things we believe could actually reshape the world around us? And don't even get me started on Henry. Poor guy gets caught up in this whole ritual madness without even knowing what's going on at first. It's like the game is showing us how these powerful beliefs can affect even those who don't subscribe to them. In the end, Silent Hill 4 really makes you think about the power of belief systems and rituals. It's not just some abstract concept of this game. It's a force that can create monsters, twist reality, and drive people to do some seriously messed up things. Pretty heavy stuff from a video game, right? Now let's talk about the characters. Surprisingly, this game has 9 characters, making it the game with the largest amount of characters in Silent Hill at the time. Let's chat about Henry Townsend. So, Henry, right? At first glance, you might think, wow, this dude is about as exciting as watching paint dry. And honestly, you wouldn't be totally wrong. Henry's got this whole quiet, introverted thing going on that can come across as, well, kind of bland. But here's the thing, I think that is kind of the point. Henry's like a blank slate that we as players can project ourselves onto. He's thrust into this absolutely bonkers situation, and his reactions, they're pretty much what any average Joe would do. He's confused, he's scared, but he's also determined to figure out what the heck is going on. Now, some folks complain that Henry doesn't have much personality, but I argue that his actions speak louder than words. I mean, the guy's trapped in his apartment, seeing all sorts of nightmare fuel. And what does he do? He keeps pushing forward, trying to solve the mystery and help others like Eileen. That takes some serious guts, if you ask me. Speaking of Eileen, Henry's relationship with her is pretty interesting. He starts off as this kind of awkward neighbor who barely knows her, and by the end, he's risking his life to save her. It's like watching this shy guy come out of his shell in the worst possible circumstances. His isolation in room 302 mirrors the emotional isolation many people feel in their daily lives. It's like the game saying, hey, you might feel trapped in your own life, but you can still make a difference. Is Henry the most charismatic protagonist out there? No. But I think that's what makes him relatable. He's just a regular dude dealing with some seriously messed up stuff, and he's doing his best to get through it. In the end, Henry's character is all about the journey. He starts as this passive observer and grows into someone who's actively fighting against the evil around him. It's a subtle character arc, sure, but it's there if you're paying attention. So yeah, Henry may not be winning any most exciting protagonist awards, but he's got more going on under the surface than you might think at first glance. He's the everyman hero of Silent Hill 4, and honestly, I think that's pretty cool. Alright, so Eileen Galvin, right? She's this mid-20s guy living next door to our main guy, Henry, in room 303 in South Asheville Heights. Picture this, brown hair, green eyes, and basically the epitome of the girl next door vibe. Now here's the funny thing, she's been Henry's neighbor for 2 whole years, but they've barely said more than hi to each other in the hallway. Talk about awkward neighbors, huh? But before the crazy stuff goes down, Eileen's life seems pretty, well, normal. Maybe even a bit boring. She's often seen just chilling in her apartment, watching TV, cleaning, or taking naps. You know, just everyday stuff. But here's where things get interesting. Remember that creepy Walter Sullivan? Well, it turns out Eileen had a run-in with him when she was a kid. She felt bad for this homeless boy and gave him her doll. Who knew that one act of kindness would come back to bite her? Fast forward to the game's events, and Eileen gets brutally attacked in her own home, left for dead with one eye covered in a gauze, arm in a cast, cuts all over. But does she give up? No. She's out there fighting alongside Henry, wielding whatever weapon she can get her hands on. Talk about resilience. What's cool about Eileen is she's not some perfect, flawless character. She's kind of level-headed for sure, but she's got a feisty side when provoked. And also, she's a bit of a klutz too. But makes her feel real, you know? By the end of the game, you can't help but root for Eileen. The way she faces down Walter in that final battle, still trying to find a way to ease his pain even as he's trying to kill her, is pretty powerful stuff. And hey, depending how you play, you might even get to see Eileen and Henry develop a bit of a thing, or maybe they just become really good friends. Either way, it's nice to see her get a happy ending after all she's been through. So yeah, Eileen Galvin, for you, starts off as an average girl next door, but ends up being one of the toughest, most resilient characters in the game. Pretty cool character arc if you ask me. Alright, so Frank Sunderland. This guy's got some interesting connections, let me tell you. He's the superintendent of South Ashfield Heights, the apartment building where the crazy stuff goes down in Silent Hill 4. But get this, he's not just some random dude. He's actually the father of James Sunderland, the main character from Silent Hill 2. Small world, huh? Now, Frank's been running his apartment building for like 40 years. He's the older guy, probably in his 60s or 70s, and he's got this kind of grandfatherly vibe going on. You know, the type who's always ready with a story or a bit of advice? Here's where the story gets a bit weird though. Remember Walter Sullivan, that creepy antagonist? Well, Frank's got a connection to him too. See, Frank was the one who found Walter as a baby abandoned in room 302 way back when. And for some reason, he kept Walter's umbilical cord all these years. But here's the thing, Frank's not a bad guy. He's actually pretty helpful to Henry throughout the game. He's always checking in, trying to figure out what's going on with room 302. It's like he's got this sixth sense that something's not right, you know? Oh, and there's the sad bit. Frank got this photo of Toluca Lake that he gave to Henry. Turns out that's where his son James and daughter-in-law Mary disappeared. Poor guy's probably still holding out hope that they'll turn up someday, so yeah. Frank's this interesting mix of helpful neighbor, worried father, and unwitting keeper of creepy mementos. He's not just a major player in the game events, but he's definitely got some important connections to the overall Silent Hill lore. In the end, Frank's just trying to do his job and keep his tenants safe, all while dealing with some pretty heavy personal stuff. Gotta give the guy credit for keeping it together with all the weirdness going on around him. Alright, so now Cynthia Velasquez. This chick is something else, let me tell you. She's one of the first characters Henry meets in the game, and boy does she make an impression. First off, Cynthia's got this whole slutty, flirtatious vibe going on. We're talking long dark hair, killer figure, with an attitude that screams, I know I'm hot. She's the kind of character that makes you go, whoa, is this really a Silent Hill game? She kind of reminds me of Maria from Silent Hill 2. Now here's where things get interesting. Cynthia is trapped in Walter Sullivan's twisted version of the subway world. Poor girl thinks she's just having some crazy dream after a night of partying. What's cool about Cynthia that she's not just eye candy, she's got some depth to her character. Yeah, she flirts with Henry and even promises him, let's say a special favor if he helps her out. But things get crazier, you see? There's a vulnerable side to her. She's scared, confused, and trying to survive like everyone else. And get this, Cynthia's actually got a connection to Walter's past. Turns out she met him when they were kids and gave him some chocolate milk. Who knew that that little act of kindness would come back to haunt her? The way Cynthia's story ends is pretty brutal, even by Silent Hill standards. The scene where Henry finds her, man, it's rough. But even in her final moment, she's still got that spark telling Henry not to look at her because she's not pretty anymore. So yeah, Cynthia Velasquez starts off as this sexy, flirtatious character that seems out of place in Silent Hill, but ends up being this tragic figure that really adds to the game's atmosphere of dread and loss. She might not be around for long, but she definitely leaves an impression. So Jasper, this dude Henry meets in the Forest world, and man, he's a character. First thing you notice about him is his stutter. Poor guy can barely get a sentence without tripping over his own words. It's like he's constantly nervous or something. Now, here's where things get interesting. Jasper got this weird obsession with serial killers and the occult. He's excited about the devil coming, which we're pretty sure is his way of talking about Walter Sullivan. Talk about fanboying all over the wrong person, right? Jasper is also part of this group with his buddies Bobby Randolph and Sean Martin. They're all into this occult stuff, which in Silent Hill is never a good sign. It's like they're asking for trouble. The way Jasper goes out is pretty brutal. He ends up being Walter's 17th victim, and get this, he's burned alive. There's a whole scene where Henry finds him on fire, spouting some cryptic stuff before he bites the dust. It's intense to say the least. After that, Jasper's ghost starts haunting the place, and it's not pretty. He's all charred and still on fire. Talk about holding a grudge, huh? What's kind of sad about Jasper is that he seems like this lost, confused guy who got mixed up in something way over his head. His fascination with the occult and serial killers led him down a dark path, and well, we all saw how that turned out. So yeah, Jasper again, a stuttering occult fanboy turned crispy ghost. He's not around for long, but you can tell his mark is definitely left on this narrative. So Andrew DeSalvo, this guy is a real piece of work, let me tell you. He's one of the characters Henry encounters in the Woodard prison, and boy does he have a dark past. So picture this, DeSalvo, this nervous twitchy dude Henry finds locked up in a cell. At first you might feel bad for him, right? But hold on to your hats, cause there's more to this guy than meets the eye. Turns out DeSalvo used to work in the Wish House orphanage, a true danger to kids. We're talking child abuse, brainwashing, the whole 9 yards. And guess what? DeSalvo was right in the thick of it. Here's a kicker. DeSalvo was one of the guys who tormented young Walter Sullivan when he was at the orphanage. Talk about karma coming back to bite you in the butt, huh? Now, fast forward to the game's events, and DeSalvo is singing a different tune. He's all scared and begging for help. It's like, dude, maybe you should have thought about that before you mess with those kids, you know? But here's where things get really messed up. Walter, now all grown and on his killing spree, drowns DeSalvo in the prison. And get this, DeSalvo becomes the 18th victim of Walter's twisted 21 sacraments ritual. Talk about payback. After that, DeSalvo's ghost starts haunting the place. He's this bloated, floating corpse that sings into this creepy lullaby. It's enough to give you nightmares, I'm telling you. So yeah, Andrew DeSalvo, he starts off to seem like some victim, but he turns out to be this really dark character with a seriously messed up past. It's a great example of how Silent Hill 4 blurs the lines between victim and villain. So Richard Roundtree, one of Henry's neighbors living in room 207 of South Asheville Heights, he's this middle-aged dude with a serious attitude problem. We're talking short-tempered, aggressive, the whole 9 yards. First time we meet Richard, he's yelling at a kid for playing with the apartment's water supply. Talk about a grumpy old man, right? But here's the thing, as much of a jerk as he is, he's actually pretty observant. He noticed something's off with Room 302 before anyone else does. Now, Richard got this whole tough guy act going on. He carries a revolver and isn't afraid to use it. There's this scene where he actually fires a warning shot at Walter Sullivan. Gusly move, but maybe not the smartest when you're dealing with a supernatural serial killer. Here's where the story gets really messed up. Richard becomes Walter's 19th victim in that crazy 21 sacraments ritual. The way he goes out is pretty brutal. He gets strapped to this electric chair contraption. Henry then finds him just in time to watch him get fried. Not a pretty sight, let me tell you. After that, Richard's ghost starts haunting the place. And let me tell you, Ghost Richard is even nastier than Living Richard. He's all charred from the electrocution, and he's got this creepy ability to teleport around. Makes him a real pain to deal with when you're trying to explore. What's interesting about Richard is that he's not just a straight up bad guy, but he's not exactly a likable guy either. It's like this morality gray character that adds some complexity to the story. You kind of feel bad for how he dies, but at the same time you remember what a jerk he was and what he's done while he was alive. So yeah, Richard Braintree, grumpy neighbor turned crispy ghost. So Joseph is kind of the ghost in the machine of Silent Hill 4. He's not really a character you meet face to face, but man, his presence is felt the entire game. Joseph was this investigative journalist who lived in room 302 before Henry. He was digging into some serious dark stuff, the Walter Sullivan murders, a creepy Wish House orphanage, you name it. Talk about poking the bear, right? Here's where things get interesting. Joseph disappears before the game starts, but he leaves all these notes and messages for Henry to find. It's like he's trying to guide Henry from beyond the grave or something. Pretty spooky, huh? Now get this, Joseph is actually mentioned way back in Silent Hill 3 in one of the magazine articles. The developers were playing along the game with this character. The really messed up part, Joseph becomes one of Walter's victims, specifically the 15th sacrament. But even after death, he's still trying to help stop Walter's crazy ritual. Talk about dedication to the job. Throughout the game, you find these red diary entries that Joseph left behind. They are full of clues and bits of the backstory. It's like putting together a really dark, twisted puzzle. So yeah, Joseph, he's seen as the presence guiding Henry through the nightmare. He's not physically there, but his impact on the story is huge. It's like the invisible hero of Silent Hill 4, fighting the good fight even after death. Lastly, Walter Sullivan. He's this seriously messed up serial killer who's at the center of all the crazy stuff that's happening in the game. But here's the thing, he's not just your run-of-the-mill psycho. His backstory is what makes him such a compelling villain. Walter was born in room 302 of South Asheville Heights. Yeah, the same room Henry is trapped in. And he was abandoned there as a baby. Talk about a rough start, right? He ends up in the Wish House Orphanage, which is run by this creepy cult. Not exactly a best environment for a child. Now here where things get really twisted. Walter grows up believing that room 302 is his mother. Yes, you heard that right. He thinks the apartment is his mom. He becomes obsessed with the idea of awakening his mother through a ritual called the 21 Sacraments. Throughout the game, we learn about this, and he even deletes himself as a part of it. Talk about dedication to the cause. What makes Walter such a great villain is that he's not just evil for the sake of being evil. He's this tragic figure who's been warped by a lifetime of abuse and neglect. You almost feel sorry for him until you remember that the people he's deleted, of course. In terms of what it means for the story, Walter is basically the driving force behind everything that happens. His actions are what trap Henry in room 302, what put Eileen in danger, and what create all those nightmarish worlds Henry has to navigate. But more than that, Walter represents the themes of isolation, abandonment, and the search for identity. His twisted quest for material love is a dark mirror to Henry's own journey of self-discovery and connection. So yeah, Walter Sullivan, he's not just the bad guy. He's the whole reason Silent Hill 4 exists. He's the perfect blend of sympathetic backstory and unforgivable actions that truly makes a memorable Silent Hill villain. So, Silent Hill 4 shakes things up from the get-go. You start off in this trapped apartment in room 302 and it's your first-person view hub world. It's like, welcome to Silent Hill. Here's your claustrophobia starter pack. You can look around at some creepy stuff, but you can't leave. Talk about a bad case of cabin fever, right? But here's where things get interesting. You'll find these portals that transport you to nightmare worlds. That's when the game switches to the more familiar third-person view. It's like the developers were like, let's give them a taste of both worlds. Now, combat in this game, it's well there. You've got your melee weapons, a few guns, but don't expect to feel like a champion like in the previous games. It's clunky, which some folks say adds to the horror while others just find it frustrating. Personally, I think it's part of the charm. You're not supposed to feel powerful in a horror game, right? Oh, and let's talk about the inventory system. I hope you like making tough choices because you've only got limited slots. It's like playing the world's most stressful game of Tetris with your items. Do I really need this health drink or should I keep this golf club? Now here's a cool twist. The game split into two parts. In the second half, room 302 starts getting haunted. Suddenly your safe house isn't safe anymore. It's like the game is saying, oh, you were getting comfortable? That's cute. Let's chat about Eileen, your sometimes companion. She tags along in the second half of the game, and you can give her a weapon to defend herself. But here's a kicker. How will you protect her affects which ending you get. No pressure, right? Speaking of endings, Silent Hill 4 has a total of 4 of them. You got your standard escape ending, mother ending, sad ending, and one that is horrible, known as the 21 Sacraments ending, which you have already said, but you can guess, is not exactly the happily ever after. Now, for the completionists out there, this game's got some cool unlockables. You can even snag a chainsaw if you beat the game once. There's a special One True costume for Henry if you get all 20 silver bullets. It's like a reward for putting yourself through all that trauma. Oh, and we can't forget about the ghosts. These guys are invincible unless you have a sword of obedience on them. Silent Hill 4 The Room in a nutshell got its quirks for sure, but it's a unique experience that really tries to shake up the Silent Hill formula. Whether you love it or hate it, you gotta admit, it's definitely a champion. So, when Silent Hill 4 dropped back in 2004, it was like the series threw a curveball at the fans. People were like, wait, what? This isn't the Silent Hill I know. And you know what? They weren't wrong. The game's got some pretty mixed reviews off the bat. Some folks loved the first take on the series, while others were scratching their heads. Critics were all over the place too. IGN gave it a solid 7.9, praising the story, but noting that the gameplay changes were a bit hit or miss. One of the big talking points was the whole room concept. Some people thought it was genius. I mean, turning your safe space into a source of horror, that's pretty clever. but others felt it messed with the classic Silent Hill formula too much. The first-person sections in Room 302 were another hot topic. Some players loved the immersion while others felt it broke the flow of the game. And don't even get me started on the limited inventory and backtracking. That was a sore point for a lot of fans. Now, here's where things get interesting. As time went on, people started to look at Silent Hill 4 in a different light. It's like the weird kid in high school who everyone thought was strange, but then at the reunion like, hey, you were actually pretty cool. These days, a lot of fans consider Silent Hill 4 to be underrated. People are starting to appreciate its unique take on the series. The story of Walter Sullivan, which might have seemed confusing at first, is now praised as one of the most intriguing in the series. The monster designs, which were always pretty wild, are getting more love too. I mean, now the twin victims are nightmare fuel, but in the best way possible. Even the gameplay, which was a sticking point for many, is being reevaluated. Some players are even finding the escort missions with Eileen aren't as bad as they remember. Turns out she can hold her own in a fight. Of course, it's not all roses. The game itself has critics and even fans that admit its flaws. The second half of the game with all its backtracking gets some groans. But overall, Silent Hill 4 The Room has aged like fine wine, or maybe more creepy, haunted wine that gets more interesting with time. It's gone from being a black sheep of Silent Hill's family to being appreciated as a unique experimental entity in the series. So yeah, Silent Hill 4's reception has been quite the roller coaster, from mixed reviews to cult classic status. It's a game that definitely left its mark on the horror gaming scene. So here's the deal. This was my first rodeo with Silent Hill 4, and boy did it throw me for a loop. I went in with certain expectations, you know, but man, the first person view of the apartment, talk about a curveball. It definitely cracked the claustrophobia factor, which was pretty cool for a horror game. Now, don't get me wrong, the gameplay wasn't bad, but the whole mother and womb thing, it just didn't hit as hard as the mind-bending psychogenic fugue in Silent Hill 2, or the deep dive into the womanhood issues of Silent Hill 3. It's not like the game was awful or anything, but it feels like it was missing that special sauce, if you know what I mean. Here's a weird thing, it feels more like a sequel to Silent Hill 2 than Silent Hill 3, but then again it had these vibes in the first game too. The whole being in someone's mind thing, it's like it couldn't decide which Silent Hill it wanted to be. One thing that bugged me was how closed off everything felt. The other games had this open world feel, but this one, it was like being stuck in a box. Sure, there were different sections, but after a while, it was just revisiting some of the same old places with a new to-do list. I mean, cool for trying to flip the script on backtracking, but still. Now, here's the heartbreaker. Knowing that this was Team Silent's last swaying song, these guys went from being underdogs to creating a worldwide phenomenon, and Konami just let them go. Talk about dropping the ball. You could tell that they were under the gun with this one. No fancy CGI, barely any exploration of Silent Hill itself, and don't even get me started on the lack of cutscenes. It was like, here, you have another page to read instead. But you know what? Even with all that, Team Silent still managed to pull it off. I just wish they could have had one last hurrah with the whole team, you know? Really go out with a bang, but even with the setbacks, they still delivered. Gotta give them props for that. Silent Hill 4 The Room is signed off in my book. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. Hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all our latest uploads. If you have any retrospective requests or suggestions, feel free to drop them in the comment section down below. This is the Retro Phantom, signing out.